We are live. Okay. Let's just see if it happens on YouTube. I think there's a bit of a lag. Just got to wait till it appears on YouTube and then I'll know. Then I will know. Here we are.
There is a community here.
Oops, we gotta have adverts. Okay. So, not sure if there's anything actually. God, the picture's rubbish. My camera is rubbish. Yeah, so just thought I'd do a bit of a live stream. I'm not sure if anyone's really kind of watching at the moment. It'd help me if I actually plan these things to, garner a bit of interest. I rarely do live streams because, I don't know, just never really do it, never really think about it. But just thought I would do one to see if anyone wants to ask any questions or anything like that, although I am approaching the 10-year anniversary of this channel. So I'm going to do a full Q&A for that. So, you can enter questions on that. But if you want to ask me anything on here about films, what you thought about Wakanda Forever or films in general, horror, any particular kind of questions, throw them out. Just kind of sat here on a Thursday evening thinking, what should I do? I'll crack on and do a live stream, even though it was completely impromptu and I have absolutely no plan about what I'm going to be talking about or anything like that. I kind of enjoy going on other people's live streams every so often. So I thought I'll bang one out here and we'll see if anyone wants to ask anything or have any opinions about anything. Unpopular opinions, I've got plenty of them. If anyone is watching and they want to jump on in, feel free, because it's a cold, chilly Thursday night here in England. It's probably raining. I haven't checked. It just seems to be raining all the time at the moment. So it's kind of miserable. So why not chat to the internets? So we have a couple of people on, but they're not saying anything. So hello to those couple of people who are watching. Always a pleasure. I'm going to have to get this camera sorted out. This is the camera through the actual laptop, which I'm using, and it isn't very good. I do have another camera, but I need to fix that and going to get it set up. Right. I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to live streams. Don't really know what I'm doing, but Grubby Don't Play says hello, and he loves the channel. Well, I love you. So the feeling is mutual. Thank you for that. If you guys want to, say you want to ask anything, you want to bring up any conversation topics, feel free. Has anyone seen Wakanda Forever? I kind of liked it, but it seems like not many other people did. Or what did you think of Terrifier 2? Anything like that? What do you think of Two Witches? If you've ever seen any of those films, let me know. Because I kind of like those last two. Though I had a few issues with that. And weirdly, if you've seen Two Witches, the witch in the second story looks eerily like an ex-girlfriend of mine. It was very weird watching it, so I have to say. So how's everyone doing out there this evening or this morning or wherever you are in the world? Loved Wakanda Forever. Glad to hear. I liked it too. I actually liked it better than the first movie. I didn't really like the first. Well, the first movie was okay, but I kind of like this one. I actually thought I kind of like the two tribes going to war sort of thing. But not a lot of people seem to like it all that much, which I kind of found surprising. And I kind of quite like Namor as well, but a lot of people didn't like him. But again, I thought he was pretty strong. And I actually quite like the fact that we didn't get the Black Panther until the last act. I actually quite like the kind of the sci-fi kind of elements to it outside of that, which I thought was quite good. But there you go. But Thor: Love and Thunder, that was rubbish. What do you think of Thor: Love and Thunder? And I wasn't too fussed with Doctor Strange either. Yeah, Phase 4 has been not so good. And even the TV shows, I kind of like She-Hulk as a character, but man, I don't know how I feel about that show. So. Loved Wakanda Forever. Awesome. Love the characters for me. Loved all of them. Loved Shuri. Reluctantly did. And yeah, I think that was good. I think her character shows good growth from the original film to this new one, where she's kind of the reluctant kind of leader. And it makes sense to me. And a lot of people saying, "Oh, should have been in Baku," but it kind of makes sense because she is the royal lineage, so it kind of makes sense that she would do it. Thor made me laugh, but I didn't see it twice. Yeah, it's one of the. I'm never going to watch it again. I'll never watch that film again. I'm a huge, like, growing up, I was a big Marvel fan. I used to read Marvel comics and stuff, and when the MCU first started out, I got into it, but it's kind of like it has fallen off a little bit of a cliff. And I'm not one of these kind of like, right-wing leaning channels that just bash everything. I'll kind of give it a chance, and I enjoy aspects of it, but I don't think it is particularly kind of strong at the moment. I'm curious. One of the things I'm always curious about with, the YouTube movie kind of fandom as it is. What are your opinions on these kind of like these politically charged channels? I know they get a lot of attention. A lot of people watch them one way or the other. I try to stay away from political stuff, to be brutally honest. I try to like my channel to be apolitical, if completely honest with you. I have my own political views, but the channel, I try to keep away from it. But it seems a lot of channels these days are really kind of leaning into, one political kind of leaning over another. Just curious, anyone, and they have any thoughts on that, or watch any, or like any of that kind of stuff? Yeah, so there you go. So I had no plan with this stream. Maybe I should have come with some talking points. I just thought, I'll do a stream. Why not? I haven't done one in ages. Maybe I should do the streams like more regularly or something along the lines of that, because I'm kind of spinning my wheels a little bit here. But it's one thing I will say actually. So the 6th of January is 10 years on YouTube, and I am going to be doing a Q&A. So I will ask if anyone wants to do ask a question. I'd really appreciate it. I'll do a video a bit nearer the time. I'm big into politics, but I like my YouTube to be apolitical. Yeah, well, that's how I feel about it, to be honest. I kind of I like watching actual politics. I know that sounds boring, but I actually quite like it, to be honest. To me, politics is always about kind of like the compromise, isn't it? It's never going to be a one or done situation, but I try to keep it out of this. My mouse just disappeared. Have I seen Pray for the Devil? That wig, oh boy. I have not seen it yet. I got the trailer to put on the channel, and I did ask for a screener, but they have yet to send it. And I know they might send it to when it kind of comes out on streaming or something. But I have yet to see it. But now I'm going to be looking out for a dodgy wig, so I will be keeping my eyes peeled for that. Election night and debate night are like superb owl for me. So are you American, or where are you based? Because obviously, clearly I'm based in the UK, but we get a lot of American politics over here. I think people get mixed up in England with English politics, or British politics, and American politics, because we see so much of it. Stephen M. Smith, thank you for reviewing some of my media. It's absolutely my pleasure. I like to review, all the kind of screens I can get hold of, to be honest, if I can. And, thank you for making them. Super Bowl in Chicago. I've always fancied visiting Chicago, the windy city. See, I know. American. So you're probably not aware of this. It's obviously based in the UK here. We get a lot of American politics on the news and media and stuff. And I think sometimes here in the UK, British people kind of get mixed up with like American politics, because a lot of celebrities talk about it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. All in I. Oh, hi guys. Hiya. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you on the live stream. If you're going to ask me anything, feel free. Go ahead. We're just talking politics at the moment. Politics, the most interesting subject for the most, I'm sure. But yeah, I am fascinated by politics, and it kind of irritates me. I always got to stop myself from saying stuff. Sometimes on these kind of channels that are very political one way or another, that are not really anything to do with politics, just about entertainment. I kind of get I got to stop myself. Your politicians are crazy. Well, we get a few crazy ones as well. Don't you worry. Google Nadine Dorries. You'll find we have some crazy politicians here as well in the UK. But yes, your American politics is a source of amusement for many here in the UK. But I do think so. It's like when Trump was originally, elected in his first run. There was protests in England about Trump. What's the point? What is the point? Politics in modern movies. Don't get me started. It's why I try and keep away from it, because I think whatever your personal feelings, you're going to alienate half your audience if you try and make your films too political. What I will say though, I watched a movie called 2025 Blood, White and Blue, and they actually took pot shots at both left and right, which I thought was quite not often that I see that, to be honest. I thought it was a low budget movie, and it was quite interesting that I felt that it actually took sort of shots at both and even kind of gave positives on both. I thought it was quite good. This is a wild time. People really seem really upset about him. What Trump viewers? I'm assuming you're talking about. Yeah, that's just what I couldn't understand. There's protest. Well, there was protest in England. This is for us. It's a foreign politician. There's plenty of them, and it's only because all the bloody media and the celebrities are going on about Trump is that people here feel like they've got to chip in. It kind of annoys me. But yeah, I know you're kind of going through it again, or were recently anyway, with the old midterms and all that. Another 2 years and they'll kick off again, I'm sure. At least it'll be on the news forever. Never mind. What do you think about Trump on Twitter then? Should he be allowed back? I think so, to be honest. Don't like him, you don't have to listen, do you? Stephen M. Smith, what is the best micro-budget movie I have seen? Well, depends what we're defining by a micro-budget. I think the one I was just talking about, I don't think it was the best one I've ever seen. There was 2025, I thought was surprisingly good. It was this guy's first film, and I think it was a budget for about 10 grand or something like that. Maybe not a micro budget. I think an idea is when you haven't got a lot of money, I think it's all about the idea, really. Under 30k. So yeah, God, it's difficult to say because I don't know the budgets off the top of my head. I saw there's been a few found footage movies that I think were pretty strong, and that's the way to go if you ask me. If you haven't got a lot of money, probably a solid sort of found footage movie. I'd have to have a look at the budget to really kind of to answer that question. To be honest, it's hard to say off the top of my head. The thing is, I watch so many movies. It kind of I try to get a review out every day. So sometimes I've got to be honest with you, they kind of blend into one a little bit. I feel bad for you when our news talks about politics. I tune out. I understand that. Sure, let him back in. For comedy relief anymore. I don't think you should be. I don't think people should be banned necessarily. What's your favourite movie for under 30k? I tell you what. Let me just have a look at the budget of one of my favourite found footage movies, and I will see if it's under 30k. and that will be the answer. I don't think it is, but I will double check. Let's have a look. Got the budget on here. Bear with me. I'm just seeing if it have a budget. Yeah, I don't think it does. Right. So I tell you a found footage, which wasn't particularly flashy, but it was very good. Was one called The Borderlands, which is also known as Final Prayer. I don't know if it was a micro budget movie because it had a relatively good kind of production value on it, but it wasn't a super high budget one. Probably no more than 100,000, I would imagine. That was a superb film because it really did well on creating the atmosphere. To be honest, I've toyed with the idea of making my own film. So I'll tell you a story. Right? So I reviewed and I won't say what movie it was, but I reviewed a low budget movie, and I wasn't especially kind to it. I try to be constructive with any negativity that I have with films, and but this was somewhat of a lazy film, I thought. Anyway, I ended up getting a little bit of a spat with the director on Twitter, and they actually told me that they had shot 2 films in one weekend in the same location with the same cast, and the film cost less than £5,000. And I was, well, there's your problem. You're just knocking them out quickly. If you haven't got the money, you would just try your hardest to kind of like get what you can do right. And they, well, you couldn't do better. And I'm like, well, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not pretending to be a filmmaker. I'm just here doing my thoughts on it and stuff. But it stuck with me because I was thinking, do you know what? I bet I could. And I had a look at kind of like what I would have in regards to things that I could use to make a film. And I had a good location, and I had the channel. That's what I had. So when I come up with an idea for a story for it, and whether it will happen, I don't know, because I've got to get A, the time, and B, the cast is the problem. So we'll see if I ever get around to it. I have an idea for a low budget movie that I think would be quite kind of fun and somewhat meta, but we'll see if I actually end up doing it, because everyone will be doing it for free, so I couldn't get anything professionally done. And it wouldn't be to make money. It would just be to say that I've done it and it be out there. I don't care about if it made any money or not. I miss movies in the $1 to $15 million range. They seem to be either Sci-Fi Channel or Blockbuster these days. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know, because I think the streaming gives the opportunity to have like the mid-range budget film, because they're probably not many are going to be. I mean, you get horror films. A lot of horror films are kind of like less than 15 million. And that stuff like Smile was less than 15 million, I think. So, there's there are examples where you do that, but I think streaming is the platform for that now. Dario, evening. How you doing? Have I ever seen some of the NBCU, the Neil Breen Cinematic Universe? I know that Tom, who does, or Professional Amateur Hour, you may have seen on the channel, is a fan of Neil Breen, or, well, if you can be a fan of Neil Breen. So I don't think I have seen any, but I know Tom has. Making films of a consistent quality is hard due to budget restrictions. Distributors, commissions for films, but they expect $1 million look for 10K. I can imagine. I've gotten to know a few filmmakers doing this channel, actually, and I hear horror stories about that kind of stuff, to be honest. But I know there are distributors like Wild Eye that will put out, practically zero budget kind of films and stuff like this. But I think with a low budget film, I think if you've it's what this is someone who doesn't make a film, by the way. So I appreciate this is an opinion from someone who isn't in the film industry. But for me, if you don't have the budget, you have to have a reasonably good idea about how to write around the budget, and you have to have interesting characters, and you know, and then just interesting things that happen in this story. I think sometimes with low budget films, it's just like, I watched one. There's a review coming out for it. One called God, I've only just reviewed it. I've forgotten what it's called. I've literally the trailer I put out on the channel this evening, and it's just this girl talking to the camera for an hour and a half, and it's like boring. Here's one of the concepts that I would like in a film, right? So I would like to see a film where it doesn't have those typical kind of cliches, right? So we have, if someone sees a ghost, they shit themselves. And I always think, if you think about like prank videos, you know, that, and you look how people react in those, that's what people act like when they're that scared. So I would like to see a horror film where people have those type of reactions. I'm like, oh my god, it's a ghost. And then the next day, oh yeah, something weird happened last night. That kind of irritates me. I would like to see realistic portrayals of fear. I'd also like to see realistic portrayals of friends. Because in a lot of these horror films, you always have this, well, not always, but a lot of the time you have manufactured drama. Oh, someone's sleeping with them. They're always arguing and things like this. So I would like to see, you know, if I did ever make a film, I would have friends that act like friends. I mean, they might have a little bit of kind of snap at each other because of the situation. But for me, I would like to make it, or would like to see a horror film that has just a very realistic depiction of people. Anyway. Movies like Lionsgate's Fall, which cost $2 million. I'm unfamiliar with that one, I'll have to be honest with you. So many factors involved of most films produced are pretty bad, but will never set out to make a bad film. Most of the time, I think sometimes. Have you seen Apex Predators? That couldn't have been made with the intention of being good. Yes, I agree. I know no one sets out to make a specifically bad film, or very rarely. But sometimes I always think watching a lot of lower budget films, because the channel is really predicated for lower budget films. One of the things that I find, having watched a lot of them, is that quite often it will be the director / producer writer is clearly not up to getting feedback from people. I mentioned it earlier on. There's a film called 2025 Blood, White and Blue, and it's like 2.5 hours long, and it's basically a Purge spoof. It did not need to be 2.5 hours long, and I said it in the review, and the director actually kind of replied, and like, it's because he was like the main guy. There was no one there to go, maybe this should be can we shave a little bit off to make it a bit more punchy? But he was reluctant to kind of take his work off and stuff like that. So I think sometimes I see it with a lot of, I'm not saying anyone specific, but a lot of the time with lower budget, movies, is that I think sometimes the filmmakers surround themselves with yes men. Oh yeah, it's a great movie, whatever, and this, to be honest with you, it's that sometimes they need the feedback. And I'll say it's a similar thing with my channel. When I started my channel, and I still take it now, people say, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. And I was like, sometimes it's you don't want to hear it, but I took it on board. Like, for example, I used to go a lot talk about, when I'm doing a film review, I spoke a lot more about the plot before. And then someone says, I've seen the film, so I don't need to know about the plot, or I don't want to know spoilers. And I think, do you know what? They're right. I am talking too much about the plot in the review. So now I kind of strip that down to a bare minimum and then talk about other stuff. But, that's my kind of thing that I do. But there you go. How Did This Get Made? Covered Neil Breen's films, and it's hilarious. Amazing podcast. I saw it in Chicago last month. Ew. Thanks. Thanks, Grumble. All right. I made a found footage film titled Haunted and hired non-actors and scared them for real. That is it. That is the one thing. The problem is their genuine reaction was not good. They just stood there and no reaction. I guess that's the danger. I mean, it's like if I were to do this, I mean, again, you're a filmmaker, but I would maybe try it once as a real experiment, and if it didn't really work, you could always kind of like sort of try it again, but obviously expecting and then get another sort of take maybe. I mean, like I said, when I planned to do my film, I wasn't planning to kind of actually scare people, but I wanted people I was going to show people like these prank videos. That's kind of what I want. Don't like pretty it up or just like shit yourself basically, and kind of like have that kind of realistic reaction and things like this. And you know, and also, or if sometimes people are standing there dumbfounded, it might be a way to write it in. I don't know. I mean, again, this is me as a non-filmmaker. Please don't think I'm kind of trying. What the fuck is he talking about? He doesn't even make a film. Am I a gamer at all? I'm a big Nintendo fan. Can't wait for the Mario movie. I'm not a gamer, but I used to work in the game industry, believe it or not. I used to work in the game industry for about 11 years. It's one of my first jobs. And I was a bit more of a gamer then, but these days I simply don't have the time. I do a full-time job, and this channel obviously takes up quite a lot of my spare time. And honestly, if I gamed, I really wouldn't have time to do the videos. I suppose the last game I really was into was Skyrim, which was about 10 years ago. That was about the last game I kind of really got into. But even that I wasn't as into as like Oblivion, which was the previous Elder Scrolls game. Stephen, where can we watch it? Yeah, Steve, let us know. Obviously, I will put a link in on the description after the thing has ended. Bad reviews make micro budget films more money in revenue than good reviews. People want to know why this film is so bad. Need to watch it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes bad films can be fun. I mean, when I review films, one of the things I do, you know, I will consider is, am I entertained? But is it technically a good film or not? I mean, is it a well-made film, or is it not a well-made film? But am I actually kind of still enjoying it? And that sometimes is the case, and you have to kind of factor that in. You know, there's what I think suppose critically could be considered bad films, but you kind of enjoy them. You know, there's been a few examples of that, and that's kind of why I love B movies, to be honest, because you get these sort of hidden gems that I feel some people they just don't, you know, they miss because you know it's considered like schlocky or something. But there's plenty of you know, quote unquote bad films that still are particularly kind of entertaining. And I remember I reviewed your Borley Rectory film, Stephen. I remember, and you know, they're obviously lower budget. I used the phrase before for a different film, but I think it applies, like highbrow B movies is kind of the way I put it. Right. So yes, all these movies are on YouTube sites and video on demand. Am I allowed to show the clip Haunted on here? You are. I'm not sure how I would put it up, to be honest. I mean, if you want, Stephen, you can join the stream if you want. If anyone, by the way, that's an open invitation. If anyone wants to join the stream actually on camera, you're more than welcome to. I'll just need your email address and send you a link. So you're more than welcome. and then we could figure out how to show a clip if you want. Because I don't know. I'm old and a technophobe. Steve's got a new sub. Boom. I'll probably end up cancelling the stream if I try and fiddle around with stuff. But yeah, like I say, you're welcome to join the stream if you like, and that again is open to anyone on here. Or you could just is that not the film? Which Bawley film? Oh, you had me there. A bad one and the slightly better one, Ghost of Bawley Rectal. I kind of like both, to be honest. I think I've reviewed them both. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think I've reviewed them both, but the more recent one I think was probably the one I preferred. But I didn't mind either of them, to be brutally honest. I quite like a kind of classic ghost story, like a classic English kind of ghost story. Let's see what else. I may have seen. You've produced a lot. I'm just looking at our IMDb. The Howling. Dull Cemetery, Scare Attraction. I think I've seen a few of these, actually. POV. Oh, yeah, I've reviewed a few. The Howling, is that? Oh, no, it's not that Howling. It's a different Howling. Anyway. U-Boat. Yes, I quite like some of his films. I quite like House of the Dead. And he did a Vietnam film called Tunnel Rats, which I quite liked. I don't think he's... I mean, some of the films are a bit, you know... Yeah. What was one I watched? It was like a Dungeon Siege or something. It was a Dungeon Siege movie. Oh, God. The worst soundtrack. Julian Sands, Colin Baker, Toya. I think I reviewed that not all that long ago, if I remember rightly. Any chance you might do separate videos on the same film, like a spoiler-free one, or a spoiler? It's a question of time, if I'm honest. Occasionally, I'll do sort of spoiler sections in reviews. But I don't know if I would have time to do a spoiler review and a non-spoiler review on a lot of them, to be honest. I mean, I did think about doing something like... I'm a bit funny about what I do on YouTube. There's certain things on principle that I don't like to do. It's like trailer reactions. You know, an honest trailer reaction for me would be like... Yeah. It would be like that. It would be not like, oh my God, like some of these people. I just don't like it. Feels very insincere to me. So I don't like doing stuff like that. I have done the odd spoiler section in the review, but I don't think I've ever really done a separate spoiler review. The Howlings is a 1930s Frankenstein's homage. That's interesting. Is there a werewolf in it? Is that why it's called The Howling? I watched a kind of a throwback film, Curse of the Werewolf, which is meant to be like a sequel to Curse of Frankenstein and stuff. I thought it was done quite well, but a little bit boring, to be honest. I have to admit, going back to your Bawley films, since The Conjuring, I have quite enjoyed Spooky Nuns movies. I was going to do a top 10 B-movie Spooky Nun video, but I never got around to it. How did this get made? Covered Dungeon Siege 2. Well, they called it, oh God, In the Name of the King, but it's actually meant to be a Dungeon Siege movie, and there's actually 3 of them. I think the first one starred Jason Statham, and the next one starred Dolph Lundgren, and the next one starred Dominic Purcell, off the top of my head. And the first one was reasonably kind of high budget. It had like Christina Loken but it was just like Jason Statham just looked like Jason Statham. Like no attempt to try and make him look kind of like medieval, proper like shaved head and everything like that. And it was just like it was just like a pretty bad film. The Howling was a title change. Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah. What was its original title? Just out of interest. Ghost of Borley was shot in a real haunted location where we encountered several paranormal events. Interesting. I reviewed a film called. Let's have a look now. I reviewed a film relatively recently. It was sent to me on a screener. And the idea being that it was the director had this grew up in this house where it was haunted, and it inspired him to do this movie. But I actually found it had a little bit of a trying to find the name of it now. This is what I mean. I reviewed so many, it's kind of like it end up forgetting what we've even seen. So you had all these interviews and stuff at the beginning and the end of the films that were saying about these kind of events. A Savannah haunting, that was it. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, I grew up in this house and there was like strange footsteps and whispering and things like that. So that was the real stuff. And then the actual film was like inspired by two events, and it was about these people getting pulled down to hell and things like that. It was like nothing like he had described. And to me, it was like, well, you kind of just shone a light on what sometimes these inspired by true events movies are actually like. Staying at Paranormal Investigations. Hello, my friend. How you doing? Smash that like button, absolutely, or the thumbs up button even. Screams of the Night. So that's a pretty good title. I will say, one of the things I wonder with, and again, this is coming from someone who doesn't make films, but like sometimes I see these films that get made and they have like a super generic title. I'm thinking, why are they calling the title that? Because you're not going to find it in search traffic. I don't really understand why sometimes these films are called something very generic. It's just, I don't know. Thank you for reviewing all my films. I haven't reviewed all of them and sitting through the boring films. I promise my next film you will review better. I'm sure. I've no doubt. And I, like I said, I've enjoyed, a lot of the films that you've made. To be honest, I mean, obviously I haven't seen them all, but I kind of like both the Borley films, even though you yourself think mine isn't so good. I think Tom might have reviewed POV. What else have I reviewed? Let me have a look. Dollhouse, I've got a feeling I reviewed. Scare Attraction, I think I reviewed. Doll Cemetery, I think I reviewed. Haunted. Might have reviewed one of those. Tales of the Supernatural Naked. That's one I haven't reviewed. That one sounds interesting. So we got Stephen on the chat. If anyone asks Stephen any film B-movie budget questions, I'm sure he'll ask. And please do check out his YouTube channel and obviously his films as well. Scare Attraction was shot in 2 days. Pretty good for that. I've never seen you stream before. I hope it's going well. I rarely stream, to be honest. I'd never really think about it, to be honest. I am going to be on the stream for someone else's channel for the first time next Saturday. Matt V Movies. I'm going to be on their stream during the day. So I'm kind of looking forward to that because I've never actually contributed to anyone else's channel. You may have seen, if you've been in the channel for a while, I get contributors to this channel, but I'm always happy to contribute to someone else's, but no one's ever asked. I'm quite excited actually to be on someone else's channel. But if you want to ask me, Rusty, if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to to jump in. Just whatever you want to chat about, we can chat. Good to see you too. And always my favourite channel name, Stoner Paranormal Investigations, and apparently that's exactly a accurate description of what he does. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for your time, and we'll certainly, I'm sure, we'll see more of your films coming up. Thanks for joining this stream, and hopefully see you on the next one. Hi, Lauren. How you doing? Lauren is actually someone who I know in real life. How you doing, Lauren? And thank you for joining. If you want to ask me any questions, you can answer them as well. So we're just talking about low-budget horror films and how we love them, and all that good stuff, and Stoner Paranormal Investigations, and about what a good name that is. Yo, hello there, Leo. Hello yourself, Lauren. Do you know, it's like but I think probably most people know my name is Leo, but it's like, and how do people know this? I don't ever really say it on the videos. Found old school movie you might like, because you are a metalhead. Trick or Treat, not a new one. It's got old 80s film that's got Ozzy in it, and really good. I have seen it. It used to be called Ragman, if I remember rightly, and I did quite like it. I nearly bought a media book of it quite recently, actually. I haven't seen it for a long time. I saw it back in the VHS days. But it was quite fun. Rubbing your annual leave in my face. Yes, I'm actually on annual leave from work at the moment this week, so hence why I'm loving life and doing a live stream, because I'm not at work this week. Woo-hoo. Okay, Rusty Shackelford. One question I've been dying to ask. How do you and the professional amateur hour find each other? Love both of your vids. Well, I kind of try and have an open door policy when it comes to contributing. When I started this channel, which is nearly 10 years old, hashtag 6th of January, 10 years old, but it never intended to be just me. So when I started this channel, it was originally with two other guys. There was three of us that were doing it. But it ended up just being me. One of the guys decided he didn't want to be on camera, and the other one kind of ended up his wife got pregnant more or less just after we started it. And I know we did it a little bit at the beginning. He kind of, once he ended up having a baby, didn't really come on the channel all that much. So it kind of like it, but I'd already started it. So I always wanted it to be a kind of a culmination of people, not really just me. So I've always been open to people who want to contribute. And one of the things I've sort of said was, for like Aaron at Screen Stars, for example, I got chatting to him when he was in about 200 subscribers. I said, look, I'm happy for you to pimp your own channel out, so to speak, if you want to do reviews for me. And that's what he done. So, he's, I think, nearly on 10,000 subscribers now. So it's kind of like, doesn't really need to do it anymore, but he still likes to do it every so often. And with Professional Amateur Hour, which is Tom, he doesn't actually even have his own channel, but he just likes to kind of like still do a little bit of that YouTube experience, if that makes sense, but he does it on my channel. And I think I just got talking to him in the comments, and he was like, look, do you want to, I think he asked, can I do a review? And I was like, yeah, no worries. So I sent him a screener, and, he did it, and that was good. Can you help me find Man-Thing DVD with special features? I think Region 2 has it. That's a high five. Man-Thing is one of my favorite Marvel characters. The only release that has special features on it is the Dutch Steelbook. It's the only one that has 2 discs, as far as I know. And that has a music video of some band, and it's got the Man-Thing kind of costume in the video. And then so you get a really good look at it. You get a really good look at the Man-Thing costume in it. It's quite hard to get hold of, however. I will give you a tip about eBay. If you ever want to find hard to get stuff on eBay, look on the actual. If you want to get like something foreign, look on the actual kind of their version of eBay. So I think it's so like the Dutch version of eBay. Look on it, because a lot of the time they won't advertise that they'll send it abroad. But if you find one, just email them and say, "Can I send this to England or America or whatever?" And they'll probably do it. Half of the stuff I've got has been through that. Anyway, it's really good. It is. I mean, I think to go about your name, I'm sure. Smash that thumbs up button. Can someone please make a zombie movie where they still want to eat you, but when a zombie eats enough human, it turns back into human? Hard protagonist choice if someone becomes a zombie. That's an interesting concept. But again, it's an original concept. I mean, they did not exactly that, but if you what's that romantic one? Warm Bodies. They kind of started to come back to human in that one. So it can't, not that exact thing, but it's an interesting concept, you know. And that's the thing. If you're making a low budget horror film, there's so many which just kind of like do it's a slasher, it's hunting teenagers. Oh, it's a found footage movie with a kind of the ghost or something in the woods. You know, if you have an idea, even if it's a little bit out there, I think that's kind of that makes it interesting. Love this channel. Best reviews ever. Oh, thank you. Excellent. Oh, God. Results may vary. Would you say The Last In is one of the worst reviewed films I've reviewed on the channel? Yes, I would say that. It was in was it last year? I think it was. Do you know, I was thinking about, oh God, I've got to start thinking about lists again soon, the best and worst. It means I've got to go through my kind of like what I've done in the last year and pick out the 10 best and 10 worst. The Last In was like, that was painful. That was a painful film to sit through. I have seen Smile, Lauren. I thought it was inferior to It Follows. If you've seen It Follows, it seemed like very much of a strange version of it, if that makes sense. Like kind of like almost like a very much inspired by It Follows. It wasn't bad. I did a review on it, but I didn't think it was anything special, to be brutally honest. I have Man-Thing on DVD and never seen it. You're not missing much, if I'm completely honest. The film is lackluster. It's okay. They do use a practical effect for it, though. Although the more recent Werewolf by Night, the effects in that looked more like Man-Thing from the comics. But I would say Man-Thing acted more like Man-Thing in the comics in the film, although he doesn't have the burning touch. But he's basically in the film, he's just a kind of doesn't have a personality. He's just a kind of a monster who just attacks people, which is kind of what he does in the comics most of the time. But I like this kind of a swamp monster idea. I've always kind of liked, and Man-Thing was, you know, always a big comic. I used to like the old 60s and 70s comics of Man-Thing. Smile was okay. It's a Western J horror style flick, but nothing justified 2 hours. Watched it last night. Yeah, I mean, Smile was, to be honest with you, Smile, I was probably expecting a little reasonable amount from Smile because it's one of these films that got quite a lot of praise, didn't it? It did quite well at the box office. A lot of people kind of quite liked it. And I was kind of went in thinking, oh man, this is going to be like, there's going to be like these weird smiling people all over the place. And it really wasn't like that. And I didn't really understand why they were smiling. I was like, what's that got to do with anything? You know, that was to me like, oh, they're just smiling because it looks scary. But why? What has that got to do with the way this kind of entity is, spoiler alert for Smile, this entity is kind of going from one person to another. Doesn't have anything to do with his smiling. It's just like, oh. Smile was a rip-off of Sadness and It Follows. Yeah, definitely. I don't know about the sadness, but definitely of It Follows. Penn from Harold and Kumar was in it. He's not in it much, though. And Kevin Bacon's daughter was great. I don't think she looks old to be his daughter. She looks like she's in her, 40s. I don't know how old she was. But I think, bloody hell. Because that's Kyra Sedgwick's daughter as well. Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick. But I was like, man, she looks kind of older than I thought she would be. I mean, I suppose it's maybe Kevin Bacon is older than I think he is. Tremors, still the best Kevin Bacon film, however. Can't go wrong with Tremors. So I'll just let you know what videos I've got coming up in the next few days, because I have been off work. So I will let you know what I have done, because I've actually recorded quite a lot ahead. So I've got a Nutcracker Massacre review coming out tomorrow. I've got Hell Nurse coming out the next day. Tom's got BattleBots, Death of April. This is the found footage movie where it's just a girl chatting at a screen for an hour and a half. I've got the Christmas Tapes, which is a surprisingly good found footage Christmas movie. Tom's got Zone Drifter, The Killing Tree. Tom's got Andor, I think. And then I've got a couple of older films. That's what I've got so far coming up. This is a funny comment. I see the newspapers in England talk about Gemma Collins. Is she the biggest celebrity over there? No. No, she's not. Do they talk about her a lot? Lauren, if you're still on the stream, I'm sure you'll be able to chip in with this one. Do you know what? I don't really watch. She's a reality TV show star, I think. And I don't actually know what she was from, to be honest with you. Probably Love Island or something like that. And she just pops up again. But I wouldn't say who's the biggest celebrity. King Charles, probably. But outside of that, Katie Price, maybe. She was a glamour model. But Gemma Collins, that's interesting. I'm curious to where you've seen that. Anyway, Rusty only wears Essex. There you go. Rusty watches Only Way in Essex. I'm in France and I've never heard Gemma's name. Well, you're not missing much. She is a loud, brash Essex girl. In England, Essex has a certain reputation. It is a county in England to the east of London. And that has a certain reputation, so to speak. Certainly the women. Oh, we're going to get cancelled now. Huge fan, obviously. Clearly, yeah. Only wears Essex. I have never seen. Do you know what? Reality TV, obviously not my thing. But I've never seen. I've seen a bit of Big Brother. I think that's about it. The Only Way is Essex. Yeah, I've never seen an episode of that, and nor will I unless I have to. Do I watch American Horror Story? I watched up until Cult. Is Cult? Is that the one? Yeah. I haven't seen one past that. Oh, which was the 80s one. Is it American Horror 84? That was the last one I saw. And then I haven't watched it since, to be honest. I think I intended to, but I just never got around to it. Essex boys, not as well. They're Essex girls are the more fun, I would say. Nice. Maybe Gemma Collins could be the new British screen queen. Has she done any acting? She probably screams quite a lot though. Oh God, I don't know if I don't know if she would bring a lot into a horror film, to be honest. If Gemma Collins was in a cast in a horror film, I don't know if that's going to be like a big seller, to be honest. I can't imagine the horror crowd, generally speaking, are massive Gemma Collins fans. I could be wrong. There could be some, could be loads, but if I was to hedge a bet, I would probably wager that wouldn't be the case. But there you go. Maybe I would. One thing I always thought would be quite fun if you had an actress like Jennifer Aniston, and you made her like some sort of like a badass kind of like assassin, like a real like down to earth, down to business kind of assassin, where she wasn't like this kind of like ditzy kind of girl next door thing. That would be quite fun, I reckon. If she would have someone like Jennifer Aniston will play something like some kind of like real serious but like hardcore role. I think that would be quite fun. Gemma is not British screen queen. Emily Booth is. Well, I think Shauna MacDonald as well is a great British, or technically speaking, she's Scottish, but that's still British, at least for now. She's a good British screen queen. Obviously, she was from Descent. She was from Nails. Have I ever been asked to do a role in a British independent horror film? Once or twice. And not even in Britain. Someone's asked me to go to, two people have asked me to go to America, but it's like I have to pay for it. So like I'm not that worried about it. But I have no experience in acting whatsoever. So I wouldn't want to subject. If it was like being made in Southampton, which is where I live, and they said, "Oh, do you want to come on down?" I was like, "Yeah, right." But I wouldn't bother going like miles out my way, to be honest. But you know, never say never. Like I said, I am thinking about making my own film, and I probably would have a small role in it, but I wouldn't be like the main person. I would be awesome in a movie, I'm sure. Do you know what? That again, even your name there, I think is a fun concept for a you know. Because think about it, right? If you were doing a paranormal investigation and you were stoned, you could get like the paranoia and stuff, and you wouldn't really know if you're just being paranoid or if there really is something there. So in a way, it's actually quite a good concept, you know. You know, you see sometimes films where they have like a situation where is the character going, even Smile was, you could have said, was a bit like that. But you know, you could have this. Is he going mad, or is it kind of something real, or is he kind of stoned, or is he hallucinating, or is he just being paranoid? Quite a fun idea. All these ideas for films getting sprayed out there. Meant you spell check. I had to take my vids down. Too much weed. Oh, do you know? I've never smoked weed. I've never tried marijuana ever in my life. And I'll tell you another thing, right? Not that I have anything against it necessarily, but sometimes in American films, it always strikes me as everyone does weed. There's no one ever says, no, I don't fancy that. No one, that never happens in a film. Never have I seen an American film where someone's been offered weed and they've gone, nah, thanks, I don't do that. Everyone always does it, even the most nerdy characters. So I just find it interesting. I think the difference is the sort of in England it's you know a bit more kind of like on the illegal side, shall we say. Do I feel that physical media is dead? Do you appreciate fans who still buy films? It's dying. It's not dead. I think I used to work for a company in the UK called CEX, and they sell secondhand films, Blu-rays, DVDs, things like that. And I started working for them. I don't work for them anymore, but I started working about 10 years ago. When I started working for them, they said, we think DVD has got like 10 years of life left in it. And 10 years on, it's kind of going up. But DVD still is the biggest seller out of physical media. You know, it's not 4K, it's not Blu-ray, it's DVD because it's the cheapest format, and that's what people buy en masse. It's what older people buy. So at the moment, you know, it's kind of in the death throes. So I'm 48. I know I look incredible for my age, right? But I am 48. I work with a lot of younger people, and I said to them, "Oh, do you want to borrow this film that I have on Blu-ray or DVD?" And they're like, and honestly, all of them have said, "I don't have a player. I don't have a DVD player. I don't have a Blu-ray player. If I ever watch something, it's on streaming." And that is literally every single younger person, like 25 and below, that I've spoke to, does not have any type of disc-related player. So I think as the generations, you know, go on, you are going to see, you will see the kind of the death knell of physical media, and it will go to kind of streaming. I think there's probably it's going to be a market for boutique releases still. So, but they'll probably go up in price, and everything will be a special edition, basically. If you ever make a movie, give me a shout, or I'd love to help for a free experience. I may well do it. If I do it, it'll be summer of 2023, but I have no experience doing it myself either. So it's just going to be like a completely, a completely like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like nothing, like no experience whatsoever, but who knows? See how it turns out. So welcome to my world. 33 and collect VHS. It's madness. I used to have a massive VHS collection. I've always been interested in B movies. You know, back in the VHS days, you know, I used to go in the VHS shops, and you'd only, because this is before the internet and stuff, and you would just go, oh, that's got a cool cover. I'll rent that. I'll buy that, and things like this. So I ended up having this massive collection of VHS, and you know, the issue I have with the VHS is it's bulky, especially if you're from the UK, because you have the clamshell boxes. Like I know in the US they have like those sort of more slip cases and stuff, but in the UK you have like these bulkier clamshell boxes, and obviously they degrade. That's the other problem with them, and obviously they're simply not as good quality. So. But there are some films that let me show you something. There are some films that you simply can't get on any other format other than VHS. So here is one. You're thinking you're holding a DVD. Hearts and Armor is one of my favorite fantasy films, and only on VHS. This is a bootleg, the VHS rip, but it is literally the only way to get this on disc. So you know. Rusty, I know the feeling, but collect DVDs and Blu-rays, anything before the 2000s. I don't buy. I am cutting down. The thing is, I think for me specifically, because I get a lot of screeners sent to me, so I tend to watch most of the stuff online, and I'm never really without anything to watch because I get sent so much to watch. If that makes sense. You know, I'm kind of constantly kind of like consuming media, but a lot of it is through streaming. UK here, I collect Blu-ray too, and you can get 3 Blu-rays through a VHS. The cleaning mold, etc., can be a pain. Best format ever. Do you know? I sold all my VHS apart from like a handful, and I'm not sure whether I regret it or not, to be honest, because part of me wishes I videoed up my collection before I did it, before I sold it, because I had some like pre-search, quite a lot of pre-search stuff. I had Evil Dead on pre-search in the Palace video, great condition. The original Superman, Star Wars, along with the kind of a lot of the more obscure stuff. I used to have a lot of like used to quite like the sort of science fiction, like Rollerblade and all this. But I sold them all, or the vast majority, like 99% of it, because it was just too. It was just too big. There were just like boxes and boxes of VHS all over the place, and I was like, what am I going to do with them? So I flogged them, but I don't really regret it, to be honest. It's kind of like, well, Rusty says, yeah, it seems odd not to have a physical copy. I mean, if you look at what Warner Brothers, they've kind of now getting rid of their sort of service, aren't they, more or less? So anything that was on there, you can't now watch, or you won't be able to. Good vibes. Laura, are you coming to the Christmas do? That's what I want to know. Results may vary. 7. Would you recommend the horror comedy Black Friday with Bruce Campbell and Michael J. White? I have reviewed it. As I remember, I think it was somewhat lackluster. You'd have to watch the review to get. I forget, to be honest, but I don't remember it being that special, to be honest. It was okay. Worth a watch, one-time watch, maybe. VHS was the best back in the day. I've never seen the VHS films, by the way, the found footage anthology films. But yes, I loved VHS back in the day. Just finding like a rare copy of something or some like film you've just never heard of, it had a cool cover. It's amazing. The Evil Dead pre-certs. Yeah. They're a space racer. I can't blame him. Yeah. I mean, there's certain films like that I kind of... I got a reasonable amount of money for it, so I can't really complain. But, I profess to be a big Evil Dead fan, and I could have had this, the sort of the golden goose at one point, and I could have sold it. So there are one or two things. I wish I kind of kept maybe these specific ones. The one, and this is not really a great film, but the one, my sort of white whale on VHS was one called Galaxina, which was kind of like a Star Wars spoof. It was a bit like Barbarella. Had a Playboy playmate called Dorothy Stratton, and it wasn't a great movie, to be honest with you. But I had seen it when I was a kid on Betamax, and then I wanted to get it because I remember quite liking it when I was a kid, and I could not find a copy anywhere. And my friends went to London once, and they said there was a copy of Galaxina in this shop in London, and they didn't get it for me. I was so annoyed. But I eventually got it, and it is now available on Blu-ray and DVD and all that. Smash that like button, absolutely. Have you tried the Evil Dead game? I don't play video games, to be honest. There was a PlayStation 1 Evil Dead video game that I think I might have played, but that was a long time ago. But the recent one, I don't play video games. It's not because I don't like them, I just don't have the time. Yeah, no, I don't. I haven't played it. I've seen the trailer. I have to be honest with you, the latter Evil Dead stuff I haven't been a huge fan of. The series I didn't love, if I'm honest. I like the first 2 Evil Dead films. The third one, I don't like the character of Ash, the way he's kind of changed, if that makes sense. Because in the first Evil Dead film, he was kind of quite normal, if that makes sense, and got a little bit kind of like goofier in the second film. And that's peak Ash to me. I don't know. In the third film, he just kind of changed character, I thought, and then in the series, they kind of went even further than that. So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan really of his character because he wasn't like an asshole in the first 2 films, but he is now. Evil Dead game was okay, but it's not that great. It looked like kind of generic, to be honest. It looked like just running around in the woods fighting stuff. It didn't really seem like there wasn't much to it. It's good if you're a fan of Evil Dead, but not amazing. Nothing amazing. Evil Dead 2 for the longest time was my favorite film ever. You know, I love that film. I love Evil Dead 2. Favorite film ever. But I would say in the last few years, I would say I prefer Fright Night. That's my favorite film, the original Fright Night. Because I looked at it, if I had the choice of watching either Fright Night or Evil Dead 2, I'd probably watch Fright Night. Because it's a bit more fun in a way. I like the kind of the tone of that movie and I like the music and stuff. So that to me now is my favorite film, the original Fright Night, and I like Fright Night Part 2 as well. How do I feel? Oh, I should really do this. How do I feel about the 2013 remake of Evil Dead? I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything classic for me. I mean, like to me, that's like a very separate entity. You know, I don't mind remakes because to me, you've always got the original. I don't see why people get uptight about remakes, to be honest, because like some content is better than none, surely. But yeah, I kind of liked it. I like the fact that they made a difference of it. It was kind of a bit more hardcore and kind of like brutal. But it like that sort of that original kind of like hokiness, to be honest. Lauren, I'm working on getting this man a console. Do you know what? When the next Elder Scrolls comes out, I will buy a console to whatever that comes out on because I like the Elder Scrolls games and I will buy it then. I hope it would be an Xbox because I kind of like Gears of War games as well. But I would get a PlayStation if it wasn't. Fright Night 1 and 2. Now, I'm glad you said that. Fright Night 2 does not get the love it deserves because it does not have the same director. People just poo-poo it. But I think it's a good film. Not quite as good as the original, I'll give you that, but it's still a good film. It would legitimately be in my top 10 films. Just like The Vampire D was okay. Is that the anime you're talking about? Supersburg. The Vampire is it Vampire Hunter D you're talking about? Or am I getting it wrong in the stick here? Or are you talking about D in a different meaning? A? Oh, talking about a game. I'm completely got the wrong end of the stick there. I don't know if I've seen Vampire Hunter D. I used to date someone who was like a real big anime fan, and she maybe watched loads of kind of like anime, and it kind of just. I don't think I've seen it though, to be honest. Am I excited about the RoboCop documentary film? I didn't know there was one, to be honest. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. So I wouldn't say maybe I'm not excited about it, but I would consider watching it. Have they made a live action version of Vampire Hunter D? Do you know in that case? Or I don't know. I'm not familiar with the game, as I say. I don't really play video games, to be honest. But, you know, there you go. I'm certainly going to Christmas pie. Awesome. So, yes, if you admit, I know Lauren here in real life, and our company is having a Christmas party on the 10th of December. And Lauren is coming, which is good news. And I probably will drink. I'm not a huge drinker normally. I don't drink all that much, but this time I might have a few. I was even have a beer tonight. I thought, no, got me bothered. But I will have a budget Coke. Excuse me. Little version of Coke. So then, right, where are we? What's people's favourite Christmas horror film? As it's nearly the season. Nice speaking to you. Looking forward to watching movies so I can go and watch them and liking, comment your reviews. Go in peace. Thanks for joining the stream. I like the Evil Dead. Because it's basically The Exorcist and the movie Equinox with Three Stooges. That is a great description of the Evil Dead franchise. Although, as I say, I'm personally less keen on Army of Darkness, to be honest. I saw the premiere of Army of Darkness, actually, or the UK premiere. They held it in Southampton for some reason, the UK premiere of Army of Darkness. And I was there. Black Christmas 2006. I haven't seen that one, actually. I recently, I tell you, there's a review coming up in a few days' time called The Christmas Tapes. And do you know what? I got the screener of it, and I just thought, oh man, the poster of this looks rough. It looks like, oh God, I've got to sit through this. And it started off, and it had the guy from one of the blokes from The Room in it, and I was like, oh my God. And it was like, this is terrible. Oh Jesus, I've got to sit for an hour and a half of this, which is sometimes what you have to do when you get a screener. But it's an anthology movie, and once you kind of got the wraparound story out of the way, it was surprisingly good. So if you want an intro, it's not anything amazing, but it's very low budget, but a good Christmas anthology movie. The Christmas Tapes coming up soon. And there was I really like Krampus, the 2015 one. That was a good fun Christmas horror film. Hello, I hope you're okay. I'm doing very well. Yourself? Nice to see you on the stream. Feel free to ask away about anything you want to know. We're kind of talking about Christmas horror films at the moment. It's getting there. It's nearly the season. Just over a month away. Done all my Christmas shopping. I am that organised. What other Christmas horror films? I kind of like Christmas B movies. Like, was it Santa Jaws? Was quite fun. Yeah, I kind of like them. Results my theory. How are British Christmas parties? Is it like National European Vacation with Chevy Chase? Except everyone drinks tea and has turkey. That's exactly. We sit around with a monocle, top hat, drinking tea, and saying, "Good day to you, sir. Good day." That's exactly what you do. What is your Indian order? Well, here's what we're actually doing for a Christmas party. So we're going to an Indian. Now, here's something I only found out recently, right? Is that Indian food really isn't all that popular in the US, apparently. They don't eat Indians like we do here. When I say eat Indians, I mean Indian food. They don't eat Indian cuisine like we eat it in the UK. And I think there was like a curry is like one of the most preferred English cuisines, that we eat here in the UK. But in America, you eat like Chinese cuisine a lot more than we do here. But we eat Indian a lot more. So I found quite interesting. Gremlins, good shout. Oh, so that kind of just about borders on a horror film. Certainly a family kind of horror film. I always wonder if they're going to make a Gremlins 3. Here's a challenge for you, right? I've got a challenge for everyone on this stream. Okay, right. You ready? Name film franchises, and you can't use Gremlins now, where there is only 2 films in the series, right? They can't be films where there's obviously a third one being produced, right? Like that's yet to be made, and it can't be like Disney and the Disney sequel video, the animated ones. There's very few films, or there are some. There's very few that there's only one sequel. So see how many you can name. Let's go, Leo. Got to go. That's all I say. Appreciate. Enjoy the rest of your night. Shout out to all the people in the chat. Thanks for watching and commenting. I'll speak to you next time. So yeah, this is a little tough. This is a little tough thing I used to think. So the moral of the story, if they ever make a second film, they're probably going to make a third, because there's actually very few films where there is only one sequel. Gremlins is one of them, but there are others. But there isn't that many. Everyone's got their thinking hats on. So a little thing I noticed about kind of film in general, but not all that many. I think I've got you stumped. Come on, give me some film franchises. Well, there's only two in the franchise. See, it's tough, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought so. But yeah, there's very, very few films where that's actually the case. But you got one of them, Lauren, so albeit by accident. Anyone got any ideas? What's this? So anyone else, or anyone got other Christmas horror films they want to talk about? Oh, Christmas British parties. Lauren, how would you describe the quintessential British Christmas party? Lauren is also a Brit. She says, Gremlins, that's how you describe the party. So, anyone got any other questions they want to talk about here? It's all gone a bit quiet on the Western Front here. I've stumped you with my two movie question quiz. I know, it gets you every time. You must eat too much at the party. Well, do you know, I've got to go to that day. It's my mum's birthday, the same day. So I'm going out to a carvery dinner in the afternoon and then going to an Indian in the evening. Man, it's gonna be rough. And yeah, I'm probably gonna drink. I'm not a huge drinker, so my tolerance is quite low. So I probably will embarrass myself. But I feel solace. I know you didn't stay late last time. Last Christmas, lots of people got really pissed, so it was fine. I feel I'm not going to be as bad as that. Oh, hell yeah. Answers before I go. Mirrors 1 and 2. Haunted Connecticut 1 and 2. Oh, there you go. There's a couple. Yeah. There's a couple. I think there might have been a Mirrors 3. I'll be honest. I'm going to check. Oh, no, you are right. There is only 2. Yeah, you are correct. If you want a good laugh, check out OCP Communications review of Steven Spielberg Seagal film Born to Raise Hell. OCP Communications. I'm not familiar with that channel, so I will have to have a look. Hopefully, we won't be sat at the end of the table. No, we have to make sure we try and sit a bit nearer this time. Is that your new colleague? Your new one you're talking about? Well, oh God. What I'm nervous about is Jeff and Ben getting absolutely kind of like the dynamic duo with that. Yeah. So now we're talking about our work's Christmas party. Sound like you're all invited there. So who's got any funny party stories? Embarrassing party stories, Lauren? I'm sure you have 1 or 2. Who is Ben? Ben worked at the other branch. Where I am, if that makes sense. I don't want to give too much away. So looks like this this stream is winding down now because I've petered you out of all the questions and things like that. Has anyone else got anything fun, witty comments, questions that they want to kind of throw at me before I call it a night? And if not, we will kind of wind down. Oh, come on, Lauren. I know you like a good night out. Don't give me that. I've seen the photos on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about. Right then. I think we'll probably leave it there then. Hour and a half is good enough, isn't it? So one quick thing. 6th of January will be the 6th of January will be the 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So I'll be doing a Q&A. On the community tab, there's actually a post for it. So I'd appreciate if there's any people who are asking any questions. I will do a kind of a video preceding that. Just to remind people, but going to do it like a Q&A thing early next year to celebrate my 10 years on YouTube. And appreciate anyone would throw me a question. Just came here to hear anything new. Well, just a lot of old hot air coming from me, I'm afraid, at this moment. But we'll leave it at that then. Thank you for joining me. Oh, Lauren slipped one in there. What is my favourite horror icon? Ash from the Evil Dead, even though I'm not as keen on the later stuff, to be honest. But Ash from the Evil Dead. I'm not a huge slasher fan. So, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, all of that, I'm less keen on. I haven't even seen all those films, but Ash from the Evil Dead, he's my guy. I don't dislike him. I don't dislike him from like Ash vs. the Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. I just prefer him in the first two films. But he's one of the few horror protagonists. There's very few. I can only really think of like horror protagonists that have had like multiple films. There's only been a handful, like him, Peter Vincent from Fright Night. But there's probably a handful of others, but not all that many. Anyway, peace out, guys, and look forward to seeing you next time. I will be doing another stream on Matt vs. Movies channel on the 26th. So hopefully I'll see some of you then. Bye for now.